Tonight on the program, Chiang Mai suffers the worst flooding in 50 years. Then we talk to Australia's special envoy on strengthening trade relations with Thailand and the ASEAN region. And can Thailand become a fashion and luxury hub of Southeast Asia? Sawadee-ka, I'm Nad Bunag and welcome to This Week with Thai PBS World. Thailand's northern province of Chiang Mai is experiencing the worst flooding in 50 years. The dramatic rescue of elephants says enough about how severe the flooding has been. In the past 2 months, Chiang Mai has experienced massive flooding, not once but twice. The first was in late September and the second was just last week, possibly the worst in over 50 years. And one of the reasons was the heavy rainfall in the north. Last Friday, many areas of Chiang Mai recorded a very high amount of rainfall. So you can see that some of the districts saw as much as 60 millimeters of rainfall in just one day. And a few areas such as Doi Inthanon actually recorded 100 millimeters as well. The heavy rainfall caused flash floods and water carts overflows, with a water level in the Ping River reaching a record high of 5.28 meters. And the previous record high measured at 4.93 meters just 3 weeks before the current record was set, both of which exceeded the critical level of 3.7 meters. And the normal average water level in the Ping River is only 2 or 2.5 meters. Another contributing factor to the chaos are the sluice gates on the Ping River and the mounting pile of garbage in front of them. These have been blamed for the slow discharge of water from the swollen river and the subsequent flooding. As for the compensation for flood victims, the cabinet has decided to give a standard 9,000 baht for each household in 50 provinces that have been affected by the flooding. And so far, over 67,000 households in these provinces have sought financial help from the government. And speaking of the flooding situation in Thailand, to put this in perspective, I had a chance to talk to a specialist on water resources from the World Bank about his analysis of the flood management here in Thailand.
The floods are not just one of the many things Thailand has to do. They are actually one of the first things Thailand has to do. Because if we have repeat of these events, and they are repeating, what is happening is that everything else we are building, roads, industries, hospitals, all of that gets washed out. So it's like we are trying to grow. It's like driving a car with your foot on the brake pedal, that we can't really move ahead.
The World Bank's senior water resources specialist, Sanjay Pahuja, explains why the flooding situation in Thailand is much more worrying today and how this will damage the economy. He explains that the intensity and frequency of floods are increasing due to global warming. The exposure to flood risks has also increased, especially for communities along the riverside. Sanjay believes that if Thailand continues to experience repeated flooding year after year, the economy will continue to be damaged as economic activities are mostly centralized in Greater Bangkok.
In the Chao Phraya Basin, we have 40% of our population, and we have 2/3, 67% of Thailand's GDP is in this area. And Bangkok alone, the Greater Bangkok area, is half of Thailand's GDP. So you have an enormous concentration of people, economy, strategic resources, skills in this place that is very, very vulnerable. And that combination in some ways puts Thailand at a much higher risk compared to other countries.
Thailand experienced massive flooding in 2011, which caused 1.4 trillion baht in damage. That's 12% of the country's GDP. 13 years on, Sanjay feels that the country has not made much progress, but says that the efforts that have been made are not ineffective, but insufficient. Sanjay explains that most people think that heavy rainfall and river overflows are to blame, But in fact, the lack of sufficient and effective drainage as a result of urbanization remains a problem. Although the government allocates a large budget for flood management every year, he thinks that it could have been invested in more sustainable projects.
One of those is improving the systems for modeling, forecasting, and early warning. These are modest investments. They are not billions or trillions of baht, but with relatively modest investments, we can save lives by early warning. In terms of policy, I think every institution in Thailand needs to realize that literally our future is at stake. So how can we work together to implement these systems? One more point I'll say is that infrastructure alone cannot solve these. Institutional coordination is an important part. Training, we have very smart, qualified people in Thailand, but we are not running the best flood modeling and flood forecasting systems that are currently possible in the world.
Meanwhile, the World Bank is supporting the Thai government in the first phase of investment to tackle floods along the Chao Phraya River, which Sanjay describes as a huge investment. The program itself involves 9 phases. The first phase already cost 95 billion baht as compared to the Irrigation Department's annual budget for flood control of only 6.5 billion baht. Sanjay insists that flood management is not just one of the multiple issues that Thailand has to fix. It is actually of the highest priority and it needs to be fixed urgently. Nad Bunag reported for Thai PBS World. We just talked about the flooding situation in Chiang Mai. Now let's go all the way down to Phuket. One of Thailand's most popular tourist destinations has recently been affected by disastrous flooding and mudslides again. In this report, Thai PBS World examines the factors behind and possible solutions to this problem.
ครั้งที่เท่าไหร่แล้วที่ภูเก็ตเจอสถานการณ์แบบนี้
This is the aftermath of the unprecedentedly heavy rainfall in Phuket province on September 23rd, which severely impacted Kata Beach, a major tourist destination. Floodwaters washed into shops and hotels, forcing the evacuation of all customers and guests to safer locations. On that day, 13 people died, including 2 Russian nationals.
วันนั้นเกิดเหตุการณ์ฝนตกทั้งวันนะครับฝนตกตลอดทั้งวันเลยฝนไม่หยุดเลยครับแล้วก็มีลมกระโชกนิดหน่อยแล้วก็ตกพอตกกลางคืนก็ดินสไลด์จากภูเขาหลังวัดใหญ่แล้วก็ทำเกิดน้ำหลากบนภูเขาแล้วก็ทำให้ลงมาทางชายหาดคือน้ำมันออกไม่ได้ครับน้ำมันออกไม่ได้มันก็จะตรงนี้เต็มเลยน้ำมันออกไม่ได้มันก็ล้นเขื่อนเนี่ยครับมันก็ทำให้ไหลเป็นน้ำตกอย่างเงี้ยเซาะต้นไม้มันก็เหมือนกับน้ำตกลงไปครับแล้วมันเซาะต้นไม้มันก็ร่วมหักกำแพงก็พังแล้วก็ดูดน้ำลงมา
ก็รู้สึกกลัวค่ะตอนนี้ต้องระแวงแล้วค่ะเพราะว่ากลัวเขาตกอีกอะค่ะ
แล้วกระตะนี่ปกติมันจะบีซี่มากแล้วฝรั่งจะเยอะมากแล้ว
ก็นักท่องเที่ยวหายไปนะคะช่วงก่อนหน้านี้ลูกค้าเยอะมากพอมันเป็นแบบนี้ลูกค้าก็เขาเข้าไปข้างในไม่ได้อะค่ะ
ลูกค้าก็เลยหายไป
ใช่ค่ะเพราะว่าเขาจะไปเข้าอีกฝั่งหนึ่ง
The governor of Phuket explained that increased flooding and landslides on Phuket have multiple causes, including climate change, the natural erosion of rock layers, and construction projects that block natural waterways. Despite being surrounded by the sea, rainwater is unable to drain into it.
ผมก็สงสัยตอนผมมาอยู่ใหม่ๆทำไมน้ำภูเก็ตถึงท่วมตลอดนะครับปรากฏว่าไปดูแล้วเรื่องการก่อสร้างขวางทางน้ำค่อนข้างเยอะลำรางน้ำเดิมเนี่ยมันเป็นเรื่องปกติพอชุมชนมากขึ้นการถมดินการก่อสร้างพวกนี้จะไปขวางทางน้ำค่อนข้างเยอะพอฝนตกหนักปั๊บมันระบายไม่ได้เนื่องจากว่า climate change แล้วก็ลานีญาที่เกิดขึ้นฝนที่ไม่เคยตกหนักถึง200มิล300มิลก็ตกถึง300มิลในคืนเดียวซึ่งมันเป็นปรากฏการณ์ที่ไม่เคยเกิดขึ้นมาก่อนนะครับและประกอบกับดินของเราเนี่ยหินของภูเก็ตเนี่ย มีอายุถึง 91 ล้านปี อันนี้จากกรมทรัพยากรธรณีมาสำรวจตรวจสอบให้เราเลยนะครับพอเกิดที่กัมมาลาเนี่ยก็มาเลยปรากฏว่าตอนนี้หินตรงนี้มันเริ่มย่อยสลาย
According to the Phuket governor, the survey showed that the soil in this area is prone to landslides. In fact, there are 8 potential landslide zones. 2 of these have already experienced landslides, while 6 remain at risk. To prevent future landslide disasters, warning systems will be installed alongside efforts to plant ground cover vegetation. It will take around 3 years for this vegetation to stabilize the soil effectively, reducing the risk of landslides. Additionally, a plan to handle the high level of rainfall involves drainage management, including the preparation of floodways.
ปัดเวย์ตัวนี้เรากำลังทำอยู่ในแถบบริเวณท่าเรือส่วนในเมืองเรามีปัดเวย์อยู่แล้วคลองบางใหญ่เนี่ยท่าเรือที่น้ำท่วมเยอะๆตอนนี้ของบกลางไป264 ล้านนะครับเพื่อจะทำเป็นคลองปัดเวย์ที่จะลงทะเล แต่ที่นี่มันมีก็จำกัดอยู่ในเรื่องของเวลาน้ำขึ้นวันหนึ่งขึ้น2 เที่ยวถ้าขนไปตกจังหวะที่น้ำมันขึ้นพอดีเนี่ยก็จะเป็นเรื่องที่ยากอีกผมก็เลยตอนนี้เอาเครื่องผลักดันน้ำมาไว้ในคลองบางใหญ่คลองลายันพอเวลาน้ำทะเลขึ้นแล้วฝนตกบางทีมันเหลือแค่นี้จะล้นอ่ะเราก็ต้องใช้เครื่องผลักดันน้ำเพื่อดันลงทะเลให้เร็วซึ่งในระยะยาวนี่จะให้ทางองค์กรปกครองส่วนท้องถิ่นซื้อไว้แล้วก็ไปไว้ประจำปากน้ำทั้งหมดเพื่อเวลาเอาระบายน้ำให้เร็วนะครับ
As urban planning, or lack thereof, is another important factor contributing to the chronic flooding in Phuket, the tourism sector has called for the cancellation of plans to build taller buildings at higher elevations or reduce setback lengths for new constructions and a long-term strategy to prevent floods and storms damaging tourism and the economy. With the tourism high season approaching, there is an urgent need to address Phuket's problem. Even more critical, though, is ensuring the issues are resolved properly and sustainably.
And so far, a total of 19 provinces across Thailand are still affected by massive flooding. And now let's have a look at the other stories in our weekly roundup. Thailand has won its bid for a term on the UN Human Rights Council, the world's most influential human rights body. The 3-year term, which will begin next year, is important for Thailand in enhancing its profile following the formation of a new government, which has changed the dynamics of support among UN members. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra signed 6 agreements with Laos to strengthen cooperation and mutual ties and promote growth and sustainable development. Paetongtarn is in Laos this week to attend the ASEAN Summit and a series of bilateral discussions with leaders from dialogue partner countries. The National Police Commissioner has ordered an investigation into a high-profile e-commerce company which has reportedly hired celebrities to promote its products and whether there is any defrauding of customers. Some of them claim that they were persuaded to take an online course offered by the company and then to subscribe as a member and to invest in the company. They also claim that it charged membership fees ranging from 1,000 to hundreds of thousands of baht. The Miss Grand International organization has decided to cancel the beauty pageant in Cambodia, citing that it has failed to meet the standard service requirements. The pageant and relevant activities will be held in Thailand instead. The owner of the Miss Grand franchise said, however, that the matter has nothing to do with relations between Thailand and Cambodia. Moving on to other stories. With a population of 700 million, Southeast Asia as a bloc is set to become the world's 4th largest economy. And right now, Australia is seeking to strengthen trade relations with the region. Frank Han-chi recently talked to Australia's special envoy and the Australian ambassador to Thailand on this topic.
I would like to understand, of course, in Southeast Asia, we have very powerful neighboring economies too, like China, like Japan. So how could Australia find its stance to further forge this collaboration in this region, given that we have these neighbors here?
Well, I think the important thing is that we are already substantial trading partners. So the Southeast Asian countries are our second largest trading partner. Our largest trading partner is China, but Southeast Asia collectively is our second largest trading partner. But our government is ambitious that our trading relationship can be even greater, and not only our trading relationship, but our investment relationship between the region and Australia. So we would like to see the level of investment that Australia has in the region to reflect the importance the region has to Australia.
What is your strategy in Southeast Asia? Because sometimes the complexity in Southeast Asia really matters, because different countries have different cultures, different rules there. So what's the strategy to head into different markets? Of course, sometimes you have the strategy in Thailand. It doesn't, it's not applicable to Vietnamese market.
Absolutely right.
So what's the strategy?
We learned the most important thing is to look at the underlying market and find out what you think it needs that you have to offer. So even though you might be providing this product in the United States or in Europe, it doesn't necessarily mean it applies to the local market. So that's why this building awareness of what's needed in the local market. So when we met with Thai government officials today, as we have in previous meetings always, we always start with what would you like? What are the sectors of the economy that you're focusing on today, and how can we actually work with those? So obviously things like agriculture we talked about, digital we talked about, energy transition we talked about, vocational training and skills we've talked about.
In terms of the sectors, the four that Nicholas identified in this report are actually very aligned with, again, those that the Thai government talks with us about. So energy transition, green economy, skills and education. So a big focus on how does Thailand upskill for an increasing focus on AI, robotics, digitisation. Obviously, it's a super saturated market in that sense already, Thailand. So where is there some other skills that we can contribute to that, particularly as how that could help transform manufacturing? And some of our businesses that are already operating in the Eastern Economic Corridor have a lot of the skills in-house that they're upskilling Thais who are working with them, and finding that really adds to their capability. The digital economy, agri-food, and again, it's where the technology and digitisation intersects with what is a traditional sector in many ways.
I talked to some business leaders in Thailand. Some of them, they talk about, okay, it's the weak economic performance in Thailand during over this years, and how about the constant policy changes and constant changes about government right now. I'm sure I have to lead this question to the ambassador here. So how can you think both governments here, how could we tighten the cooperation in between? Because, of course, you talk to Thai government too. Sometimes the leadership changes really change everything. So what do you think about it?
I think there's been quite some continuity in terms of the focus on trade and investment that the previous Setar government and the current government is now talking about and looking at. So there's a lot of opportunities. I think Australian businesses come to the region really with their eyes wide open. As you said earlier, every country in the region has a very different political economy. So with the political circumstances, how the government works there. As doing business anywhere, we need to look at the culture, how things happen there. There are some specific potential impediments from time to time, and that's where government can definitely step in and help.
And very much a long-term story, of course. You know, this is, there are short-term, there's always short-term hiccups, but I think everybody is very much on board that this is a long-term story. You know, the strategy was, the Prime Minister said for us, was out to 2040. So the whole focus is, okay, where are we going to be as a neighbourhood, where are we going to be as Australia and Thailand and the rest of the region in 2040? And we think it's going to be a very good picture. It's going to be a very rosy picture in terms of how the region grows and develops and how Australia grows and develops as well.
And now let's talk about online scams. You may have received suspicious calls from strangers claiming to be police officers saying that you've been involved in a crime, or maybe a text message telling you that you have won a prize. These are the most common tactics used by online scammers. Over 36 million Thais fell victim to such deceit during the first 3 months of this year alone, causing financial losses of over 60 billion baht. So what can we do to prevent this, especially when online scamming is rising as fast as the new digital technologies which make them possible? Let's find out more with Kitipat Sukhjit.
In a worrying development, over 36 million Thais were approached by online scammers this year, of whom 18.37 million became their victim. The percentage of elderly people falling victim increased to 22% in the first quarter of 2024, resulting in financial losses exceeding 60 billion baht. This report by the Thai Health Promotion Foundation and Chulalongkorn University was revealed at the 28th Digital Thinkers Forum held by Thai Health Promotion Foundation or Thai Health, COFACT Thailand, and a number of other partners. The forum themed Next Levels to Counter Fraud and Deepfakes. What else should we act? Brought together academics and industry experts to discuss problems and find solutions for coping with and preventing online financial fraud. Dr. Pairo Saonuam, Deputy CEO of Thai Health, pointed out that with 63 million internet users in Thailand, 18.37 million people have lost money to these scams. Elderly victims in particular keep losing their money, which has caused emotional and psychological problems, including strained relationships. The Bank of Thailand, as a public institution with a duty to support the country's sustainable economic growth, also plays a crucial role in tackling the mule accounts used by online scams.
ก็ตอนนี้มาตรการบัญชีม้าจะเป็น2ส่วนอันหนึ่งคือเป็นมาตรการตามพรกป้องกันและปราบปรามอาชญากรรมทางเทคโนโลยีมาตรการจุดนี้เป็นตัวจุดกำเนิดในการที่จะกำหนดบทลงโทษให้มีความชัดเจนนะครับว่าการที่เราซื้อขายบัญชีม้าเรามีบทลงโทษอีกอันหนึ่งคือมาตรการสกัดกั้นทำยังไงให้นอกจากการลงโทษทางกฎหมายแล้วเป็นการลงโทษการใช้บริการที่ทำได้ยากขึ้นอันนี้เป็นจุดที่ภาคธนาคารทำอย่างที่ผมบอกว่าการที่เปิดบัญชีม้านะครับไม่เพียงแต่ว่าบัญชีที่ตัวเองใช้ในการทำเอาไปขายเนี่ยจะใช้งานไม่ได้ถ้าโดนจับว่าเป็นบัญชีม้าทุกบัญชีที่เรามีอยู่แล้วก็ใช้ไม่ได้แล้วยังเปิดบัญชีใหม่ไม่ได้ด้วยงั้นหมายความว่าเกิดทำให้การที่จะเปิดบัญชีม้าเนี่ยประชาชนก็จะคิดมากขึ้นคนที่ขายจะคิดมากขึ้นเพราะว่าเขาจะไม่มีบัญชีในการที่จะใช้ในการทำธุรกรรมในปกติได้ด้วยนะครับ
Furthermore, telecommunication systems can also play a vital role in preventing online scams, according to Pinyo.
ตัวต้นทางคือระบบค่ายมือถือระบบโทรคมนาคมซึ่งเป็นส่วนสำคัญอีกองค์กรอีกกลไกหนึ่งเพราะว่าจะเป็นช่องทางที่คนร้ายใช้ในการติดต่อเหยื่องั้นแน่นอนนะครับเราก็ต้องอาศัยนะครับความร่วมมือจากทางระบบทางผู้ให้บริการโทรคมนาคมในการที่จะสกัดกั้นเรื่องของการส่ง SMS หลอกลวงเขาสามารถสกัดกั้นได้ไหมเรื่องของการโทรเบอร์โทรจากต่างประเทศเบอร์โทรจากแก๊ง call center ก็อยากจะให้ปิดกั้นได้ด้วย
The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, or UNODC, plays a key role in addressing online scams by supporting countries in developing stronger cybersecurity frameworks and policies to combat cybercrime. From an international perspective, culture plays a significant role in how vulnerable people are to online scams.
Okay, remember that these scammers are trying for scale, so they want to affect as many people as possible with as little cost as possible. So most of the scammers are using techniques that work in every single country, and that's not different. What you see in individual countries is that individual cultures are more trusting or not more trusting, right? So some cultures will never send money to a random person online ever. They just won't do it because it's in their culture. Thai people, I think, are very open and very friendly, and I think that means that they trust easier, right? The problem is that trust is being abused by these criminal groups. So unfortunately, the thing that makes Thailand a really great place is being abused for the scams. And I think that's going to have a negative consequence on the culture in the long run.
The forum underscored the need for comprehensive legal frameworks, social measures, and compensation mechanisms to support victims, while advocating for better digital literacy across all age groups, but especially among the elderly. Kitipat Sukhjit, reporting for Thai PBS World.
Like many other industries, the fashion and luxury market is facing many challenges, from economic challenges and digital disruption. In this special report, we find out how designers navigate the challenges and whether Thailand can become the fashion and luxury hub of Southeast Asia. The fashion and luxury markets are facing a number of challenges posed by the global economy, environmental impacts, and the disruptive effect of AI. As in many other industries, AI is disrupting the fashion industry, causing some worries that the role of designers will diminish. Renowned designer Lee Sang-bong feels that designers should use the benefits of AI and create an ecosystem in which people in the fashion industry can work with new technology.
한국에서는 점점 많은 분야에 AI가 이렇게 잠식하고 있습니다. 특히 디자인, 어떤 디자인을 요구하면은 디자인이 나오고 또 패턴도 나름대로 나오고 그다음에 이제는 AI가 봉제까지 이제는 참여하는 시대에 왔기 때문에 우리는 그들과 함께하는 더불어 융복합이 이루어지는 시대에 같이 맞춰가야 된다고 생각합니다.
Another challenge is the global economic instability, which discourages consumers from purchasing luxury fashion items. Therefore, many luxury brands have had to review their core strategies from time to time and communicate that to global consumers.
The economic cycle is not stable recently, so it makes each brand keep digging to its core to find who we are and what we want to create for the products. So this is what we aim for in these coming years, and so we truly find our core and having a significant growth from the last year, which is not a common phenomenon because the luxury fashion brand is getting a drop, especially in these Q3 seasons. But we are getting a growth, so this is a good prospect for us.
But can Thailand still become a fashion and luxury hub in the region despite the ongoing challenges?
Now, I must say it's a bit challenging because many factors, for example, like the economic uncertainty and also political instability. But I think the outlook will change in the future because we still believe in Thai power, because we have a lot of power among Thai people, a creativity from the young designers, and also tourists that come to Thailand, they also support the fashion industry.
Frankly speaking, I believe in some ways Thailand is really heading to that direction, especially with the support from all the key stakeholders, major retailers, local designers, brand operators, as well as the government. So I'm very confident that Thailand will be the one of the global fashion hub and luxury in no time.
Meanwhile, Thai designer Wannasiri Kongman noticed that many Thai brands are receiving more attention on the global stage, especially through pop culture and the entertainment business. She suggests, however, that Thai brands should stick to their strengths and qualities of being Thai, rather than following in other countries' footsteps.
Being Thai, we are so unique. We have things that no one else has. For example, we're very spontaneous, very versatile. We are super fun in terms of, the personality, and we love color. So I think all these, they are all quality that if we really take advantage of this and being unique, so I think that will make us different than, the rest.
Thailand's luxury market is predicted to expand annually by 5.62% from about $4.6 billion this year through 2028, according to RTG Group Asia. This would be evidence that Thailand's luxury market will continue to grow. Many designers also believe that the country has strong potential to become a fashion and luxury hub in Southeast Asia. Nad Bunag reporting for Thai PBS World. And many people that I have talked to actually believe in Thailand's potential in becoming the fashion and luxury hub of the region. And that wraps up tonight's edition of This Week with Thai PBS World. Join us every Friday at 10:30 p.m. only on Thai PBS. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates about Thailand as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
Are you a university student? Thai PBS World is running a student journalist competition where you can win up to 5,000 baht for an article or a 5-minute video in English. It is also a chance to get your work published on our website and social media channels. Here's the topic for the submission. Are Thai youths ready to be global citizens? Send your entry to Thai PBS World at thaipbs.or.th or scan this QR code for more information. Entry opens today until 31st of October. Don't miss the chance to showcase your talent.